Okay, welcome everybody to Let's Grow Pulling. And I'm not Jason Schultz, as you can tell. He's actually, it's start of football season, and Jason is out in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, as he's watching his youngest son play JV football on Monday nights here to Wisconsin. So I'm with Brandon, and we're going to be taking over the show for a little while here. And we have some great interviews lined up. Jason did down in Bowling Green, and we're glad to have you along here on Let's Grow Pulling. And Brandon, how was your weekend of pulling?
Only made one pull because
rain up here in Wisconsin wasn't too.
The rain was pretty widespread. They got 3 or 4 inches in some spots. I went to Watoma Saturday night. They had covered their track, so
I was able to hit.
It actually could have used some water in it a little bit, but
it was definitely hit and miss. And
that red dirt up there, you got to dump the water to it. We call that the red dirt country of Wisconsin up that way. You'll see some cool super stock videos and stuff I did throughout the week.
Yeah, and I got a chance to actually hit 2 pulls, one at the Badger State Tractor Pullers down in Pecatonica, Illinois, the only pull Friday night for them. And then I went up to Wausau, which is in north central Wisconsin, so I hit both ends of the spectrum of the state and northern Illinois over the weekend with the Wisconsin Tractor Pullers. So that was interesting to see some different stuff. But first up, we have a couple interviews that Jason did down in Bowling Green. First, we'll have our legends. He got a chance to speak with about that as their legend poll down in Bowling Green for the National Tractor Pulling Championship. And he also got a chance to speak with Miles Creger from Miles Beyond 300. So again, we'll have our first interview. This is Jason Schultz down in Bowling Green.
All right, everybody. I'm in Bowling Green, Ohio, USA. And this is my first time here, and like I said, I've been talking about for the Miles Beyond 300 road shows as well. When you see that T-shirt and it says it's a Bowling Green thing, you wouldn't understand, and I get that now. I've experienced it. I'm with Kevin Dick right now, a Legends in Ohio, and we're sitting in what's this? We're underneath the grandstand on the south side. Yes. Kevin, what's this called exactly? This area that we're at?
Well, this would be the Pullers Museum for the tractors that actually are not on Sunday. The annex southeast of here is housing the tractors that will be pulling on Sunday that meet the safety regulations to pull with the Legend Series.
Awesome. So they're an actual Legend Series?
There is, yes, and we have our own set of rules. The rules were designed so we could get insurance, and so we had to come up to snuff on the safety with the bell housings and the driveline covers and the torque converters and the transmission covers and the flywheels, etc., so that we want to keep everybody safe. So we had to update on the things that might get somebody hurt.
Cool, and that's great because I didn't know that at all, and I wondered how they did that because the safety of the sport is so important, and a lot of the accidents have happened. And I use the word brush pulls all the time. I don't know what else to call them, Kevin. But where the safety equipment is enforced and stuff like that, like flywheels coming, on the non-steel flywheels, different things like the old cast stuff, and that's where people have been hurt. And luckily, and cool, that's neat that the Legend Series is doing it. Is there a Facebook page or a website or anything for it, Kevin?
Yeah, there is a website. It's pullinglegends.com, and the way we designed the rules is we took a 1979 rule book and kind of massaged it up to today's safety. And the reason we took the 79 rule book is to consider it a legend, the tractor has to have been built in 1980 or older.
Okay, so it's kind of like collector plates for your car.
That's correct. Exactly.
So tell us about your tractors, then.
I have one in action right now. It's called the Spirit of 70s rear end with a supercharged Hemi that was originally built by Ram Chargers in Detroit, Michigan in 1974. Ram Chargers were pretty instrumental in the nitro funny cars in the early 70s on the NHRA, and they built that engine back then. This spring I what was the last Little American. There was 4 of them, but I have the very last one that had the single camera blown Ford motor in it, although it doesn't have one of those in it yet because they're quite cost prohibitive, but I did restore it to be.
So what is the passion behind you doing all this, Kevin? What drives you?
Well, I kind of grew up around it. Like I tell people, if I was having this much fun, I would have paid more attention because I'm 53 and I've been here 50 years. I was 4 years old the first time. My dad was a mechanic for Gaylord Zeckman that was one of the guys instrumental in getting the National Tractor Pulling Championships off the ground. He's a picture of him in this month's Puller magazine, the August Puller magazine. And not being able to have the time and the money to go pulling competitively successfully. You need, as you know, Jason, you need a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of people to beat equipment hard. And I just feel fortunate to be able to preserve some of the history and still compete on the Legends Tour or exhibition runs on the Legends Tour, and kind of preserve the sport for the younger folks that weren't around to be able to see it back in the 60s and 70s.
To know how the sport started, and luckily, 1980 as long as I can remember. And speaking, there's my dad calling me right now. So he's the reason I'm so love pulling so much. My divorced when I was in 8th grade, 14 years old, and I moved to Wisconsin. My dad still farms in Iowa. But how do you get a 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid to leave his buddies every other weekend and stuff like that, Kevin? And then the people that I've met in the sport. And I thought I knew a lot of people, and then I got to Bowling Green. It's been a neat experience. So with the Legends series, is there any way that do you book polls, or can people hire you? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. We a promoter can contact us, and we can come to your event, and we can come with the number of vehicles that you wish. We're probably about going to be in the low 20s here shortly that are up to snuff on the rules and able to make exhibition runs on the series. But if somebody only wants 5 or 6 of us, we'll find 5 or 6 guys that want to go and accommodate the promoter in that way.
Cool. I'm going to hit pause for a second. Let's keep going. All right, everybody, I'm with Kevin Dick here, and we're underneath the grandstands. This is the Tractor Pulling Museum for the Legend Series. I say that right, Kevin?
That's correct.
Kevin's from Tiffin, Ohio, and again, my name is Jason Schultz with the Beer Money Pulling Team, and I'm learning a lot about the Legends. I've seen all the pictures in the Puller magazine, and honestly, that's as close as I am to it, Kevin, to be honest, until I met you today. And I want to thank the Vinny family for getting us connected. They were down somewhere in Indiana, right, or Ohio for a PP, and they bumped into you, and we traded numbers and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's great to interview you because there are so many great people in the sport, and like we talked a little bit before when we're not recording, it's too bad we don't get the TV coverage. The 80s were the glory days.
Yes.
The Red Man, the TNT, the USHRA, the stuff like that. Like Allen Games, and that was more of an exhibition, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah, it was purely exhibition, I think, but they drew just huge crowds. You see some of the photographs of those bulls from years past, and you see them in Tampa, Stu Tall and stuff like that, and this was amazing, the crowds that they could draw, and they were on ESPN at the time and had great coverage back in those days, and hopefully we can recycle that and bring that back and get some more of the coverage like that. Have TV history of it, the Legend it was like years ago that might not have been able to see it, or they're younger and they weren't around yet. So giving a little exposure to the past.
Yeah, no, I'm super jacked to meet you. Your passion, Kevin, and you're surrounded with great people. Obviously, Mike Ott, he's the big blue shirt. I call him the big blue shirt.
He is.
You got to have a leader like that to make the tough calls, to make the tough decisions. You're not always going to be the most popular guy, but you got to get it done. So we're going to wrap it up here because otherwise people won't be able to hear us anymore. But thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
We'll go get some pictures of your tractors and put them on the interview. Thanks. What's the website again?
It's pullinglegends.com. We're still in the process of updating that. Jeremy Creger's doing that for us, and we need to be a little bit better contact with Jeremy and getting him some more information. But I did speak to him yesterday, and we're going to get to the website. We need to be a little bit better contact with Jeremy and getting him some more information. But I did speak to him yesterday, and we're going to get to the we need to be a
Okay, that was Jason Schultz with talk about the Legends pulling down in Bowling Green, Ohio this past weekend, where they had probably the biggest pull probably put on the face of the planet.
Yeah. I was the Bowling Green back in 98, 99 as a teenager. And I'll guarantee if I went there and sat in the same spot, the same people would be sitting on each side of me as was in 98 and 99.
Yeah, it's funny watching pulloff.com when people comment. They actually put their section, what row they're in, and their seat number. So I'm sure they've been sitting there for as long as they've been going there.
The people with a coffin full of beer probably still there. And there's people with sofas that are spray painted yellow and green and stuff like that. It's quite the experience, especially especially when I was like 16.
Yeah.
Had never seen a party like Bowling Green before.
Yeah, and that's definitely something on my bucket list as a pulling fan. to get down to Bowling Green one of these days. So just a matter of fitting in the schedule.
It's like combining a Jimmy Buffett concert with a tractor pull, pretty much.
Yeah, when I see videos and photos and just of the past weekend, what was going on with the cooler competition, just something that you just aren't going to see anywhere else.
I believe Ryan Seek started that People of Pull Town page with some of the creative people. It's like people in Walmart, but with tractors and booze involved. So.
Yeah, when I was showing some of my friends the photos, they just couldn't believe like the ingenuity that and the amount of time that I went into creating some of those drivable coolers around for the 50th. It's just
people live for Bowling Green. They take their week's vacation.
This could be this is probably this is their summer vacation right here, like you said.
Definitely.
So
and driving from Pennsylvania to Bowling Green when I was a teenager, you would pass all the people on the interstate and you knew they were headed to Bowling Green. You could tell which cars they were and which trucks they were. Loaded coolers full of beer and John Deere stickers, and it's a pilgrimage.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I know Bowling Green is a decent sized town because of the college that they have with the university. They are a Division I school, but the amount of people that they still bring into the size of the town is still quite amazing.
There's a few news things from the TV stations there about how much money that brings into the town.
Yeah.
$40 or $50 million.
Yeah, just that one weekend alone.
I know the grocery stores remove aisles of food to replace them with beer, and they park semi-truck trailers full of ice out in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they've gotten it down to the science themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm sure for once when it really started taking off, they probably didn't even know what hit them.
Yeah.
They probably went out of stock. But we do have another. Jason also got a chance to catch up with Miles Creger with the Miles Beyond 300. Jason was down there actually helping with his road show like he did up in Toma, and I believe probably at Chapel Hill as well. And I think he'll probably be hitting a couple other polls throughout the season. So this is Jason and Miles Creger from down in Bowling Green this past weekend.
What are we doing?
Jeremy Creger, Keith Ford. What's your name, buddy?
Bill Robertson.
Bill, you're from London, Ontario?
Yes.
It's Saturday at Bowling Green, and we are in the museum. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has decided that rain is more important. But we're not giving up on Saturday night yet. Not yet. You were going to host tonight for the Miles Beyond 300 road shows, and I'm just I'm trying to be Miles.
Sure.
I'm been good. I've been behaved. That's what it meant a lot to me that Miles trusted me.
Sure.
With his road show, so I've been behaving.
Absolutely.
I've been behaving the whole time.
Very well.
So it's been a good time. You met a lot of great people out here, and this is my first Bowling Green experience,
Excellent.
Jeremy.
Well, what do you think of it so far?
Pulling, you announced Champions Tour.
Absolutely.
I have my 4-1. I see good pulling all the time.
Certainly.
So pulling wise, it's a few more tractors or trucks in the classes.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But the people. So when people say to me, what makes Bowling Green different, my answer is going to be the people.
Absolutely.
The fans. I've never seen beach balls in the stands. I've never seen the whistles, heard the whistles,
Right.
the T-shirts, when you get a Toma or whatever, Keith, and you see people say, we have a Bowling Green T-shirt, you wouldn't understand.
Yes.
And now that I've been here, I understand.
Right. Well, and I've been coming here since 1989. I was 13. A young prepubescent white boy with hormones.
Yep.
The first summer I was here, my dad jokes that he tried his best to keep me away from the north side.
Right.
But I snuck away and got to the north side, and I got more culture and learning than I did an entire, year of school. He said I got anatomy, I got physiology, got sociology, I got international relations. There were like 7 or 8 different subjects, English, that you took part in over there.
What do you call? What's when they're really hammered, like Bud Light English, or it's kind of that a little bit of that.
But in those days, like we were talking about this morning,
Yep.
there was a man who would dress up like Santa Claus in August with a bag full of candy canes, and he would go around, and you would get your picture taken with Santa, and then the ladies who were all the ladies on the north side would sit down on Santa's lap and tell him what they wanted for Christmas. And,
Go Santa.
There were.
I'm a little jealous of that guy, Chairman. I'm not gonna lie.
There were guys dressed up like the Peanuts characters, Linus and Schroeder and Charlie Brown would come every year. I wish we'd get back to that. There's some of these just things you never ever see except for when you're here. I remember the very first time I came. It's 2:30 in the morning. There's a gentleman by the name of Crazy Frank,
Yes.
who you've seen or heard today
Yes.
a couple of times. The very first time that I met him, I'll never forget this as long as I live. He had a converted manure spreader that was a trailer that he towed behind a Jeep. And the pull was over. He kidnaps me and my father, my mother, and my little brother, and is riding us around downtown BG in a manure spreader at 2:30 in the morning. I'm 13 and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing. The next night, Saturday night of that year, we were staying at a place called the Buckeye Budget Motor Lodge. It's not here anymore. It's been razed and torn down, but it was adjacent to a cornfield. And so we parked, and my dad sees this commotion off to like his peripheral to the right, and they're all hollering Butch. So they had seen him and knew he was there, and he walks over, and there's a contingent of 10 or 12 guys with golf balls and drivers hitting golf balls into the cornfield at 3:30 in the morning.
Sounds like a good idea.
And asked Dad to tee a few up, and he did. But it's just, like you say, you go to the places you go to, but there's just nothing compares to Bowling Green for me.
It's an adult playground, is what it is. I mean, I now know what North Side means and South Side means and all that different
Right.
stuff, Jeremy. And Keith and I talked about this a little bit that first day I got here, because everybody's like, you just don't understand it. And honestly, if you don't go to the campground, you don't understand it, because that's where. And I stopped in Sturgis, and Sturgis is tame compared to what I saw in those campgrounds.
There are people out there who will come to this pool and not see one tractor.
Yeah.
They'll stay out there the entire weekend and not make it past the grandstands. But I thought this year with what they're doing with the 50th, with the cooler contest,
That was
and
sweet.
all of the unbelievable things that they've done, I really take my hat off to the Blue Shirts and all of the Mike Ott and the planning committee and the nostalgia guys. They put it over the top for me.
And I think too, I mean, in today's society, they've continued to embrace this and let it go. They control it. You know, they let you have the fun out in the campgrounds. They keep it contained.
Sure.
The police is out there. I was joking with Bill Miller, the cruiser mule guys over in the trailer when it was raining.
Sure.
I'm like, I would be a police officer in Bowling Green just to work this week.
Oh, absolutely. And the things that you see, and Miles could tell, like, there are stories, we'd be here all night, but my two favorite Bowling Green stories. The first year Miles and I decided to camp here, we camped in the campground in a tent. And I think I was probably 25, and he was just out of high school, or maybe freshman in college. So we decided we were going to camp there. So we did, and it rained. And the rain came in and got everything we had wet. So we moved our tent to the infield. We're like, well, we know pullers. We'll find a place. So my mom, God rest her soul, she took all of our stuff to the laundromat, washed it, dried it, and we were ready. So we moved it to the infield. Well, it rained again. And it's got us wet again. So again, Mom off to the laundromat. So this time we moved clear onto the other side of the facility under an easy up tent.
Okay.
So we had a tent under a 12 by 12
Yeah, protection.
canopy. So we thought we were okay. Well, then a water main breaks. We got wet a third time. And my mom said, we're done. I'm not going back to the laundromat. You can wear whatever you have, wet or dry. I'm done. And that's one of my favorite Bowling Green stories. And you could tell stories on Miles all day long, and he would get, we got here one year, and Ashley Corzine had said to him that they had just gotten a brand new motorhome, and the motorhome had 3 slides. And so Miles gets there, and he's like, Ashley, where are the slides? Thinking
They were like circular slides. Yeah, not slide outs.
And she said, Miles, what are you talking about? He said, you said it had slides. Where are the slides? Oh, she laughs about that to this day. And we talked at length of the next year. We were going to get as many of those little Tykes slides as we could and just put them on the motorhome here and there and whatever, but we didn't. But that very same year that we got wet, Miles and I, on Friday evening, were walking back to our campsite, and there is a gentleman passed out, standing up, leaning on a nylon strap that held an awning on Jordan Lustig's trailer. I mean, if you could picture, he's just leaning on it, dead asleep. So we walked over to him because he was kind of creepy.
Yeah, like, is this dude alive?
And he's very, very inebriated. And we're like, buddy, do you know where your campsite is? And, you know, right hand went left and left hand went right, and he's over there.
Over there?
So we finally got the fuzz to take him back to the campground, and I think they found his spot, but I had never seen somebody passed out standing up before.
Yeah. No, and yeah, at the end of the day, that's what I'm taking away from this. They've embraced the party.
Right.
They have controlled the party, and
Right.
we could never do this in our hometown.
No.
The cops will go nuts. I mean, we get up to 7,000 people for today's event now, and they're sending in the command centers, and it's crazy. And for what I mean, the mayor was out here last night. He talked. I think one of the city council people out here. But I was talking to Jeff Hobbs. He said that 40 to $50 million impact on this community that this event does. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So-
And I think that's, and I think it's residual. I mean, I think there's a huge hit, but you know, the ticket sales and the promotional sales throughout the year continue. But it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I talked about this the other day on my website or on my blog. You know, pulled in with Jeremy Creger. I just posted a photo of Bowling Green, of the sign, the Bowling Green, Ohio sign on the grandstand. Last year I was here, and I got up very, very early. I don't know why I was up, but
You had to
no
go
one
to
else
the
was
bathroom?
up. No, I just was up, and it was like 7 in the morning, and I had that whole arena to myself. And so I just walked the 300 foot and just kind of remembered, you know, and it speaks to you. If you know, a lot of people say, well, you have voices in your head or they wouldn't be speaking to you, but it does.
Those are my friends.
The Titans, the Giants, you remember the Banners and the Hutchersons, and Ken Lamont was here today, and I mean, I remember the Showdown guys out, the Snyder boys out of Oklahoma, and Saturday Night Driller, Tommy Holman. I mean, just, you grow up in the sport and you see those guys today, and you think, wow, how far have we come? And you know, I've been coming here since '89, and I've only missed twice. So it's a special place.
Yeah, I interviewed. You know, Gardner Stone was on the show this morning, and I shook his hand. I was. It took me, and I'm not short of words. You know that,
No,
Jimmy.
absolutely.
And that was like one of those. I'm like,
Guy's an
you're
icon.
Gardner Stone.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I am, Jason. And I was like, well, dude, this is amazing.
Well, and John Heilman's been here. You know, of course, Roger Simon was here today, still pulling.
Yep,
you know,
I see Roger all the
and
time.
he pulls with you guys, of course. But you know, the Banners were out walking around today in the pits.
Well, that's just we're in the Legends Museum. If you're just joining our podcast, I got Keith Ford with me. What's your name from Canada again?
Bill Robertson.
Bill Roberts from London, Ontario, and I got Jeremy Creger with me. And I mean, all the pictures and the tractors and stuff like that, and the Legends are going to get a pull tomorrow. And we're just kind of looking outside, hoping this rain doesn't ruin this evening. Because I've been told tonight will be insane.
Oh yeah,
Like it'll be like Disneyland. Is what somebody
super
compared it to.
Saturday night. It's the creme de la creme. It really is, and this is the first time for me that, because traditionally they've changed it this year with the addition of the Thursday night show.
We are currently in a weather delay. We are currently in a weather delay.
Traditionally, two-wheel drives pulled on Saturday night, the second time.
That there is a line of storms approaching from the west.
Okay.
Should be here in the 7 to 8 o'clock hour. We just want to put this advisory out. It has the potential, like the other evening, of maybe some heavy winds.
Okay.
And we just want everybody to take a look at their awnings, anything they might have around their sites, and maybe take care of that. Once again, we are currently...
This is the first time I've ever done an interview, and I've been interrupted by the weather, Jeremy. So we have a memory together now.
Absolutely.
So Keith, coming down. So you've been trackside the whole time taking pictures. What's it like to be? Well, real quick Jeremy, how do people find you on the web or Facebook or websites or whatever?
You can find me at getpulledin.com, or you can find me at facebook.com/getpulledin.
Okay, cool. And we're also, I'm going to start promoting all of Jeremy's stuff on my beermoneypulling.com webpage as well. So we got to continue to work together to help grow the sport. So Keith, what's it like being a photographer at Bowling Green?
Oh, it's amazing. I went over and shot the mods, or the unlimited mods, and the pro stocks and the unlimited super stocks yesterday. And first tractor out is Gardner Stone, like you said. I'm like, I'm 10 feet away from one of the coolest tractors ever built.
He's a cool dude, dude. Absolutely. He's a dude.
Absolutely. And I mean, that thing is probably 20 years old now or better.
Yeah, you talked about that.
And it's still not as far back as a 20-year-old tractor should be.
Well, he was so far ahead.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just an amazing thing. And you're right, the legends we've seen around here, Kenny Lamont. I know I was over at another group's interview, and they had Don Nolan, the old Minneapolis Moline.
Eric with the Pulling
Superstock
Radio
puller.
Network?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, they were over at the annex.
Yep.
Where the tractors that are going to pull tomorrow.
Tailgate was there this morning, right?
Yeah, Rusty Tailgate wasn't here, I
was
think.
in here, okay.
And then Eric and the guys were doing the Pulling Radio Networks over at the annex building. So yeah, that's
Yep.
cool.
And then they got Don Nolan on and John Heilman. You see, like Jeremy said, the banners and all these legends come down. It's just amazing.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah.
How do people find your photos on the web and Facebook and stuff?
Facebook, Keith Ford Photography.
Okay.
That's about the only thing I got right now. I'm a little poor for a website right now.
That's all right.
But I'm on there, and you can find me there. I got everything loaded up from Thursday night. I hadn't had a chance to do yesterday at all. Pretty limited schedule this year. Hoping next year to be back out pretty hardcore, 20 events or so a year. So
Well, thank you for all your help this week because you've been instrumental setting up and tearing down. You and I had to put that whole thing together the first time.
it's not a
It's
problem.
still together. So
Miles has done so much for me that when I decided that I was coming to Bowling Green for the 50th, the first chance I got at Gordyville, I said, "Hey Miles, I am going to Bowling Green. It is the 50th. If you need help, let me know." And he said, "Well, I'll keep that in mind and help you out." And he has, and I appreciate that greatly, Miles. Thank you. So
good deal. Thanks, Keith. All right. As a fan, 3.5 hours from, you live in Canada. So
Yes.
When I hear Canada, I think like 1,200 miles away, but I know it's not that bad.
No, it's not that far away.
How long have you been coming to Bowling Green?
I think this is my 15th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there a lot of pulling in Canada? I sold a pulling tractor to Canada. My hot farm's in Saskatchewan.
So there is, we do have a couple of groups that pull around our area. NTPA used to have a pull in
Is it
Canada.
Brigden?
No. No.
Inwood.
Twin Creeks.
Right.
Inwood.
That was a Grand National,
Okay,
right?
that was a Grand National, right? So the NTPA used to come north of the border and do that one. And for the weekend that they held it on, it always rained, always, every year. And it just got too much for whoever, and they stopped doing it. So that's when they stopped doing that. That's when I got interested in coming down here because I heard about this. You got twin tracks. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And all of the different tractors, and of course you're in the middle of everything, so there's more here. So after the first year here, I was hooked. I've never camped here. We've always stayed in a hotel.
That was my next question.
I like my shower, and I like my bed, and I like my sleep. So
good for you. Way to be mature.
I know, right? Silly me. You know what? If I was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I'd have been back there in an instant,
They do
right?
have bathhouses on the ground.
Yeah, I know they do. They do. They have showers. There's no
I
issues.
think the sleep thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's a sleep thing for me, man. I would just like my sleep. So we've been back there. After the show and even during the show or whatnot, we go back and see the party that goes on just to see what everybody talks about because it's like, oh my God. Like you said, you don't understand until you've gone back there, right? So it's, as a fan, it's just an amazing event. It was cool to hear them today say that, this is one of the biggest events even in motorsports.
Yep.
There's only a couple that are bigger than this, which, when you're talking about NASCAR events, they draw major amounts of crowds. So this compares to that. That's amazing. So
What do you do back home?
I'm just a service technician for dishwashers. So I'm just a service technician for dishwashers.
It's all good?
Yes, it is.
It's all good. No, I'm just it's nice to see what attracts it because I want to understand the psyche of the pulling fan and different things like that because it attracts everybody to the sport.
Absolutely.
What is are you diesel smoke? Are you an engine guy or what are you into? What's your favorite?
As far as mechanics go, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how these things run and stay running half the time.
But as a fan, what do you like?
But as a fan, I like the unlimited mods.
Okay.
I used to like when there was more of the turbine tractors here, but unfortunately there isn't. In the last few years, there hasn't been a whole lot of turbine tractors. It's Gardner Stone's tractor, the General, is my favorite tractor of all time. I was sad to see him retire 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer. So I saw someone, maybe your site even posted it, about him coming back this year. I'm like, that's amazing. That was just fueled me right up because I love seeing that guy pull. I love seeing that tractor pull. I also like the open Superstock alcohol class. It's really good. I just like the sound of those engines. I love them.
All the RPMs.
just the RPMs and just the way they chug, just the alcohol.
Well, and the good ones, they're pushing 5,000 horse now.
Oh, yeah.
The heavy ones are.
Easily,
So I talked to some of the guys. So back home, smaller associations, what do you got to watch?
There's some small associations. Now we have a big one in Shedden.
Shedden, Ontario?
Shedden, Ontario.
I've heard of that one.
And we've invited, even the last 3 or 4 years, the Empire State Bowlers have been coming up.
Okay.
They do a points bowl up there. And we try to do it Tom LaRue,
Tom
they
LaRue?
do that.
Okay.
Yep. Rob Cochran and all them, they're all involved in that.
Cool.
In the Southwest Ontario people anyways, because there's a couple of sanctions there. And that weekend there's also Dungannon Super Bowl, which is up even farther north
I've heard of that.
Shedden is. So it kind of brings them to the area
And
for
they
the
make
weekend.
they make the trips.
So they do hours the Friday night, and then they go up and do Dungannon on Saturday night. So those are the 2 biggest polls we've got going on right now. But a lot of it's every weekend. We got these little local organization that goes around the polls.
Is polling popular in Canada?
It's getting more popular.
Okay. But
I don't think it's near as popular as down here.
Yeah, what kind of crowds do you see though? Like at one of your smaller polls,
One of the smaller events, yeah, I'd say a couple thousand.
Okay.
They're fairly small. Like it's a typical fair grandstand.
Yep.
Small, and you can sit on the front of the track or whatnot. But it's every year. It seems like these events are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're bringing more portable stands in because they need to put the people in. So it's good to see that it is growing in our area.
Good. Well, hey, one last question. Did you bring people, family? Who you come down by yourself?
So this is usually our guys' weekend.
Nice.
I come down with a friend's been coming here 2 more years than me because he found out about it, wanted to come down and check it out with his dad. And so I've been coming with him and his dad, and we've had a couple of different people come with us over the years, but now it's just me, him, and his dad, and my wife comes every once in a while too because she likes to see the polls. I got her into that, which I don't hear the end of because it's supposed to be the guys' weekend.
Hey, it is what it is.
But it is what it is, right?
Exactly.
So you come down and have lots of fun, so yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Thanks for being
so
a
much.
fan.
Thank you.
So Jeremy, as we wrap this one up, we're looking outside. What time is it now, Keith? I don't know. I'm recording. 5:42.
Yeah, it's
Polls will start at 6:30 tonight. It's not looking real good.
Yeah.
Just trying to be honest. I feel bad for everybody. I wanted to see the wall-to-wall people just like you did, Jeremy and Keith, but I mean, we can't control Mother Nature.
No.
The first time I had my hometown poll that I promote, Churn and Dirt, get rained out in Richland Center, and it made me want to cry. We missed rain insurance on Thursday night by 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I bought a policy from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. There three of us kind of really spearhead our events in Richland Center, and then it rained all day on Saturday. But we did get our rain insurance on Saturday, so that's the one thing about pulling. But you know, I mean, if you've never been to Bowling Green, people need to experience it once.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know we've been talking about the party and the campgrounds, but there truly is the South Side.
Oh, yes.
Where you see all the kids and the families, and you don't have to see the ladies.
No,
and
no.
honestly, I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of that's tamed down.
It is.
Because I
It
haven't
is.
seen near of it.
Quite
I
a
mean,
bit.
I hear all the guys start to whistle, and everybody stands up on the north
Quite a
side,
bit.
and so.
Quite a
I'm
bit.
curious, as a fellow man, to represent the men's society.
Sure.
But so I don't want to scare people away from that either. But it's a party.
Absolutely.
And then I think if you know what you're getting into if you camp in the campgrounds.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of par for the course.
Yep.
Isn't it? But I think this is one poll that should be on every pulling fan's radar screen. I mean, if you are a true fan of this sport, there are polls, and then there's Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And
I will never let anybody, because I've had people tell me, this is like Bowling Green East, Bowling Green West. No, because I've been to all of them now.
There's nothing else like Bowling Green. And but I think, like we talked earlier, is one of those situations where you sort of get out what you put in. Like
Correct.
you said, if you want to be rowdy and wild, you have that. If you want to be tame and witness some of the best, most competitive pulling action
80,
ever.
74 two-wheel drive trucks in a class.
And I was talking to Jamie Austin today out of Illinois. He missed Super Sunday by one position today. Finished 6th with a cumulative number of 25. Tommy Tremolian got in with 23.
Oh.
And he says, he's over and he's down about it. I'm like, okay, you finished 11th and 14th against the absolute best there have to offer
In the
anywhere,
world.
ever. And you're in the upper echelon both days. That's a win. That's a huge win, but that's why people come here, because they know if you can get into this winner's circle on Friday or Saturday or Thursday, just to get into the winner's circle at Bowling Green is a win.
Oh, the interviews they do and the presentation, it's top notch.
Absolutely.
It's top notch, and they do it well.
Well, one thing I just thought of, it was really cool to see the yellow tea bucket with Ralph Hunt driving it.
Yeah.
It used to be
It's
Doc's
Wayne
old
Rouse
truck.
machine. Yeah, absolutely.
and
Ohio
it's still
rolling-
competitive, and
rolling.
winning and getting into the top 5 year in Bowling Green. I mean, that how amazing is that?
Absolutely.
That truck has a ton of history, and it just added more.
Well, guys, thanks for your time. Again, Jeremy Creger, Keith Ford, our friends from Canada. Life's good. And check it. Pulled In with Jeremy Creger.
Yep. GetPulledIn.com or Facebook.com/GetPulledIn.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, what are we doing?
Jeremy Creger, Keith Ford. What's your name, buddy?
Bill Robertson.
Bill, you're from London, Ontario?
Yes.
It's Saturday at Bowling Green, and we are in the museum, at the Legend Museum, I believe, underneath the South Grandstand. And
Okay, that was Jason Schultz down in Bowling Green. He did a couple interviews for us, and I know he had a great time out there, and I'm sure despite the weather, it pretty much lived, I think, up to expectations. And of course, there was a lot of other pulling going on across the country as well on top of Bowling Green. And I know, like we were talking about, we had a couple of state pulls going on up here in Wisconsin. Of course, a lot of other pulling going across the country as well. And season's already starting to winding down for the summer. It's hard to believe we're at the end of August.
Yeah, but I'm still seeing. I've seen a few new pulls pop up for September. You know,
Yeah, there's
just
always
out of the blue. Let's have a tractor pull.
Yeah,
It's fair season. I love fall weather.
a lot of times you'll see the new ones at the end of the season because you might draw a little bit more. The points are winding down, and you might get actually a few more tractors and trucks that which you might not normally see.
Yeah, and it could be the opposite way too. You get a class where everybody's broke.
Yeah,
and
same thing.
only three or four show up, so it's kind of hit or miss. But on my live videos from Watoma Saturday, people were asking how cold is it there because the crowd looked like they were dressed for a Packers game.
Yeah,
not
it
a
was
tractor
probably
pull.
the coldest night that we've had all summer by
definitely.
far. In August, it could be 95 degrees out at night and 100% humidity, or almost you can see your breath and you're in your long sleeves. And
Yeah, the fog in Wisconsin is something else too. If you drive through it, no matter how fast you get your wipers going, you can't see where the hell you're going.
No,
So,
Friday night coming home from Pecatonica, Illinois, I had a couple rainstorms. I couldn't even see the road, so it was quite the weekend of weather. I think that night it was really humid on Friday night, and then Saturday night was the complete opposite. And when I was up in Wausau, which is, if you don't know where Wausau is, it's basically central Wisconsin in the northern part. So you're about as far north as I'm going to be going for the season.
yeah, Macville's about as far north as I went. I may go to Turtle.
Watoma was right up there too. Not as far north as Macville, but right up there in that territory.
Might make the trip up for Matt Ingham's showdown in Turtletown
Okay, yeah.
in a couple weeks. It's a big
I
event.
believe that's the first annual that they're putting on.
Yeah, it's the first one he's doing.
Yep.
He's going to have a class for everything. So if you go to Wisconsin Pulling Promoters, go to their website or their Facebook page, you'll see all the information you need.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a pull over the next couple weeks as the season starts winding down, if you're in the Wisconsin area or upper Midwest, that's definitely a great page to check out.
Yeah, I rely on that page because
I'm sure you're not alone.
I was on it earlier, and I'm like, well, I've got 7 choices to go to this weekend. Where do I want to go? And then I'm switching back and forth between there and Google Maps to see what's feasible to go to. And it's a great page. I believe we're trying to get a page like that started for Iowa, which would be great because I'd love to hit some pulls down there.
Especially they have just as many, like, either little brush pulls are going on that just pop up all over the place, or between East Central Iowa pullers and their schedule, and the couple other pulling organizations out there.
I think it's the 10th or the 11th is they're having another big pull down in Platteville, which is a great place to see a pull.
The Platteville Dairy Days. So I think it's more of a brush pull this year. They don't really have an organization.
But ECIP is doing their 4-1 showdown, 4.1 limited pro showdown. They're bringing
Sure.
just
and
that
I think
class.
they're having more of the local classes for that because
Yeah.
they did have a pull in Platteville earlier in the year for Tri-State, which was on a different location. This is actually at the Legion Park for the the Dairy Days in Platteville. So that's
Platteville's a beautiful part of Wisconsin. If you ever want to take a nice Sunday drive, it's absolutely beautiful down there. And it's only what, 20 minutes from Dubuque, Iowa?
Yeah, it's 20, 30 minutes roughly,
Yeah.
ish, depending how fast you drive. Just up north on 151, and you exit. And I believe, actually, I just seen on polloff.com today that Dickeyville is going to have their first annual poll. I believe the second weekend in September. It's like called the Rock Cutoff. They're having a bunch of different classes.
Yeah, I saw the flyer
yeah.
because they butchered a couple of my photos onto the flyer, and I'm thinking, why didn't you just message the Beer Money page and be like, hey, can I use a couple of these photos? They photoshopped them and.
Yeah, that's their first, so
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know exactly, because Dickeyville, if you don't know, I mean, it's in between Platteville and Dubuque, right on the border if you're heading south on 151 towards Dubuque. So I don't know exactly where they'd actually be polling. It's a very small town, so I'm sure that they have either in the park or at someone's,
Someone's
could be almost
farm,
be like,
maybe.
at the first poll in Platteville, they decided to put a track behind someone's barn and have a bar. And
Yeah, now they have weddings there. There's a fountain,
Yeah.
and they really built it up. When's Viola?
Viola is always the last weekend in September, so it always falls kind of on the same weekend as Monroe for the Greene County Fall Nationals. So,
I've heard that they like to drink in Viola.
Yeah, yep, it's quite the show. I mean, it's free entry, and they just want you to support their food and beer stand, and you pretty much poll all day. They start with antiques at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a parade at the midday, and then they poll all night.
If you're out in the eastern part of the country, Crawford County Fair, Meadville, PA, that's my hometown. They're polling tonight and Friday night. Last year, Friday night, they packed the house with, 5,000-6,000 people. It's quite the show. We had a discussion. The track there is interesting to say the least.
You might
what
have
it's
to
made
post
out
some
of.
those pictures.
Yeah.
What your brother sent you.
Yeah, they were. They throw rooster tails over the top of the back of the sled there.
Yeah, like I was talking about it. What reminds me, if for those in Wisconsin that are thinking, if you do post the pictures, if you ever get to Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the Badger State Poll coming up for the Walworth County Fair next week, Labor Day weekend on the Thursday night. It's kind of the same material. Looks like they kind of dig down as far as they can in the horse track, and it's like that mixture of like a sand gravel material. And it's quite interesting trying to see them hook up on the track.
We actually pulled on a horse track once. We had 1,000 people show up in the rain for a poll, and we just scraped 2 inches off of it and went to town. Phil Kelly can tell you about that. He pulled, and it was interesting, especially with semi trucks, because you couldn't stop them. They just got so much traction.
Yeah, it's kind of like the good old days at the Iowa County Fair in Mineral Point, which is also coming up in a couple weekends here, the same week as Elkhorn with the Badger State Pullers. They used to pull directly. They didn't even scrape nothing off. They just pulled directly on the horse track. And they had pro stock tractors. This was about 10 years ago, so not as much horsepower, but you still had straight on pro stock tractors back then. And seeing the sparks fly from the pan because they'd be hitting the gravel.
Yeah.
It was quite...
Do you have an ISP schedule? What's going on in Illinois?
That up. Yeah. I'll bring that up here quick.
A lot of pullers that pull with Badger State pull in Illinois too, because they're from Illinois.
Yeah, they kind of bounce back and forth depending on the schedule. Let's see what we got. Theirs is winding down here. They were also in Pecatonica the night before, or during the day. Looks like. So it looks like coming up on the 26th, they are in Princeton, Illinois. Looks like almost their full show there for the Brew County Fair, and then Laura, Illinois, on Saturday morning. They have 3 of their classes there. They still have quite a few polls left for the season.
The ECIP, East Central Iowa, they have quite a few polls left. Ryan Seek does a great job with their Facebook page, keeping up to date with the info and the events that they do. Lots of cool videos of their events.
Let's see if we can find the... Is it PA now? No. Let's check out... Oh. This is... Yeah, so Platteville actually rounds off their summer sweep for the 4-1 Limited Pros that you were talking about earlier.
September 10th in Platteville.
Yep. It's always the same weekend as the Richland County Fair, the Dairy Days down in Platteville here at Richland Center.
No matter where you're at in the country, if you have a flyer, a well done flyer, send it to the Beer Money page. We'll share it on our Instagram or around some of our other pages.
So it looks like this Saturday they'll be in Marengo, Iowa at 7 p.m. start time. And the following weekend, Labor Day weekend, Friday night at 7 p.m., Blairstown, Iowa. Then Tripoli, Iowa on Saturday of the Labor Day weekend. And that looks like it rounds out most of their classes besides the 4-1s, which will be in Platteville, Wisconsin. That will be their last technical poll for the East Central Iowa Pullers at the Platteville Dairy Days.
How about the Outlaws? Are you doing any more Outlaw polls?
Nope, I only made it out to Rock Valley. Jamie actually went out to the Iowa County Fair in Des Moines and actually again took another first place out there. So got a run. This was last Wednesday night out in Des Moines at the Iowa County Fair. I don't think I would be able to make it to any other polls.
They're pretty far out.
Yeah, they're pretty far out there for us.
South Dakota.
They're between, yeah. Rock Valley, I think, would have been the closest, and that's around 6 hours. Well, Des Moines and Rock Valley roughly would have been the two closest. And then now they kind of move towards Nebraska State Fair, I believe, coming up, Kansas State Fair, and then they round up out in South Dakota.
October 8th is our event here in Richland Center. We're going to have 4 monster trucks. We're going to have $6,000 purse for 4.1 Limited Pros Light Pro Combo. And $6,000 purse for 3.0 PPL diesel trucks. And
they're going to do a shootout.
Shootout for 485 cubic inch gas trucks, which out here we call open stock. You can find them on the hybridredneck.com, our website.
Yep, looks like at 8 p.m. they're actually going to do another Churn and Challenge run. Looks like that's what Jason has on the schedule of the event, so that will be... You can check that out if you're looking for something on that. Then the snowmobile and 4-wheel grass drags starting at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. across the street. And I know they go pretty much all day.
We're working on a UTV rodeo and some other ideas that we have.
Well, the American Mini Pullers will also be starting at 11 a.m. to kick off the pulling.
And I'm going to get the shootout. I'm going to get the pull a garden tractor. It'll be my first time pulling anything.
Which one are they going to put you on?
I don't
the
know.
World Cup Cadet, or are they going to put you on with what they call pro stocks?
They said, hey, we got 5 tractors and only 2 drivers.
Well, there you go.
So
just go to hybridredneck.com. You can check out the full schedule of things. Checking out Southwest Wisconsin Pullers. They have a couple polls coming up this week. They'll be at the Crawford County Fair at Gaze Mills, Wisconsin on Thursday. 6:30, their full show, along with a Hot Farm Super Farm shootout. And then on Friday night, 6:30, Highland at the Highland Rodeo Grounds. They'll also have pretty much their
just
full
south
classes.
of Muscadet. Highland.
Yep. So if you're heading towards Platteville from Richland Center, you'd be heading. It's just south of Muscadet, like 10 minutes. So it's about 20-25 minutes from Richland Center. And it's a nice little pull. I stopped in last year, I believe. They had it on like a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday night that was available. I don't remember. And then they round out. Looks like they're going to have a couple classes in Brooklyn, Wisconsin, Labor Day weekend on Sunday at noon. They'll possibly have a couple classes that we were talking about Platteville at the Dairy Days the weekend after Labor Day. And then they round out their season at the Richland County Fair Saturday night at 6 p.m. So that's something new for the Richland County Fair. Actually having the poll on Saturday night. They're having the demo Friday night, so we'll see how that goes.
If you're in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, September 11th, Full Pull Productions is doing, I believe, the first ever tractor pull at Lernerville Speedway. It'll be the biggest venue, seating-wise, that they've ever pulled in. Lernerville's huge. If you're in the Pittsburgh area and you haven't heard of Lernerville Speedway, you're missing out. I've went by it. The place is huge. It's a new event. September 11th, I believe.
Yep, Lernerville Speedway.
So the Super Stock, Pro Stock combined class, 2.5 diesels, Super Street Gas, which is super stock out here in Wisconsin.
Work
same
stock
rules.
gas trucks.
tri-axle dump trucks and street semis.
And if you're out in that area, like you said, your hometown fair, Crawford County Fair, is on Friday night this week. So that's the only pull this week that they have for the full pull productions.
Yeah,
and
they
Labor
have
Day
the one
weekend.
that's going on right now, and then Friday night in Meadville, PA again.
Oh yeah,
that's
I
all
missed
pay.
it. Yep, tonight.
It's a great fair to go to. If you want to go a couple hours early, it's huge. It's the biggest agricultural fair in PA.
And then I think one of the biggest fairs in Ohio.
The Canfield Fair is coming up. We can't forget about that. The only co-sanctioned pull that the NTPA does, you're going to get to see the unlimited modified tractors and two-wheel drive, their final pull of the year, and the points are so ridiculously close in those two classes that all the big boys will be there.
Yeah, so just from videos and photos I've seen from that fair, it's just a huge.
Yeah, you can't walk around it in 5 or 6 hours. It's just
Is this
enormous.
the one that goes for like a week and a half? Or?
Yeah. It draws 500,000 people a night, I believe. But you're gonna get to see the unlimited modifieds and the two-wheel drives from the NTPA. Usually get about the top 15 in each class that are still somewhat chasing points.
Yeah.
And then
you're in
big
that
rig
neck of the
series.
hood.
So.
Pro Stocks is like, that's
Colin Ross usually shows up to that fair. It's not far from home, and I posted a video from last year.
Is that closer to the Pennsylvania border?
Yeah, it's pretty close to the Pennsylvania line. It's just south of Youngstown.
Yep.
So
I don't know how far in.
Anyone within 150 miles of there has heard of the Canfield Fair.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see that super stock, pro stock,
the combo class.
The combo class, just to see who.
What they do is they weight handicap super stock tractors, depending on if they're alcohol or diesel.
Yeah. It's almost like Tri-State and how they do their Super Pro and a little bit in the same. If you're from here in Wisconsin or in the upper Midwest and have been to Tri-State Pole, kind of similar to that.
They also have their Limited Pro and Super Farms combined in a class. In Pennsylvania, their Limited Pro tractors are 540 with an A pump, and they're, dead equally matched with the Super Farms, and it's interesting to see.
And that always popular run what you brung class.
Run what you brung modified trucks.
So. It's always fun to see the diesel versus the gas.
Yeah, basically, if it's a truck, you can pull it in that class, and you'll see supercharged sassy Hemis pulling against multiple turbo super stock diesels. It's a blast. So
it's always just fun just to see, because you don't get to see them actually run against each other, and it gives a chance just to show.
Doug Martin will most likely be there with his truck with the nitrous on it, and it's a good time. And 8,000 to 10,000 fans at the Canfield Pole. So
and I just before we wrap up, I got a chance to go up to Wausau for the WTPA Pole, and just want to say, if anyone shout out to them. They we got a joke around. We were wearing some Badger State stuff up there, so we had a few laughs and cheers back and forth, and still had a great time. They were it got delayed, but the facility that they pulled at was really awesome. It's actually a dirt track, but then in the wintertime they convert it over to ice racing for snowmobiles, and then they do drags on it as well, ice drags. So it's quite the facility up there. So something to check out. It's the Wausau 525, and just check them out online. And if you're up in that area or looking for something to do in the wintertime, they have some great winter activities.
Where I'm going to be going to a lot of different places, doing some live videos of different things. I know there's skid plate races coming up where they cut the cars in half, the front wheel drive cars in half, and you race them. And I'm going to try and hit maybe a few late season dirt track races. Anything weird you can find, I'm going to try and go to it. So.
Oh, Chuck says that he can bring you a garden tractor.
All right.
And then Tri-County Mini Rods are also going to be in Platteville, so that should be a good time there in Platteville.
Their mini rods are, as a photographer, they're the most fun class to take pictures of, because you don't know what the hell they're going to do.
No, that's
left, right,
even
up,
just watching,
down.
you just don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so just if you're going to be, I'll be heading up this weekend. Hopefully, we'll be able to hit Wyawega for the Wisconsin tractor pullers. It'll also be the North-South 300. So if you follow the light limited super stock tractors, it's one of their bigger pulls. They actually have like a northern series that they've been running. So some of the Wisconsin tractors have been going south to like the KTPA pulls and then out east. And then as well, so they're bringing in those tractors up to Wyawega, and then hopefully they'll be able to hit Monroe for the Cheese City Challenge on Sunday afternoon this year.
But
So
I'm hoping the weather holds up for that because they're estimating 180 hooks at that show.
Yeah, between South Central Wisconsin pullers, the light limited super stocks, and I believe they're having the Badger
truck pullers and Tri-County mini
and
rods.
yep, and the Tri-County. So and they're having 2 tracks at Monroe, which is the only time of year that they have the 2 tracks they're running. So that's something different. It's just that every year the rain has not been very kind to that pull, so we'll cross our fingers that the forecast will hold and they can get that pull in this year. And then, of course, on the Badger State, they have two hooks coming up this weekend. They have the Luther Memorial Pull in Baraboo, Wisconsin at the fairgrounds on Saturday night, and they'll also be up in Suring. So if you're up in the Green Bay area listening,
if you're up in the woods, the
Badger
North
State
Woods,
and Tri-County Mini Rods will be up there once again.
That is a haul for the Tri-County mini rods.
Yeah, for both. Yeah, they're right on the border of Wisconsin, Illinois. They're somewhere in that range.
They definitely got a haul cut out for them. So.
But they'll be put on with a good show by the Tri-County Mini Rods along with the Badger State tractor pullers. So they'll have 3 of their classes there. So another busy weekend here in Wisconsin and of course around the upper Midwest. Check out the websites. The points races are pretty close for a lot of the classes, so that'll be coming down to the wire as some of the classes will be winding down for the Badger State tractor pullers here in a couple weeks. The diesel trucks will round out next week. The 3-6 class in Elkhorn will have their finale, and then the 3-0s will have their finale in Mineral Point, and the rest of the classes will have their finale down at the Greene County Fall Nationals.
Jason's going to New York State.
Oh yeah,
on Friday and Saturday.
I don't know if it's Empire State or the New York State, the NYTPA.
NYTPA.
Yep, so if you're out on the East Coast,
which
watch
a
out.
lot of the
now.
pullers kind of float between the two. So, if you want to meet Jason and you're in New York State, he can.
And he'll be posting more on that throughout the week.
He'd be glad to talk to you and tell you how much lower our taxes are in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Let's check out. Oh, no, not in. Let's see what poll. Because I don't know off the top of my head what poll he's going to. It looks like he'll be in Greenwich, New York, for the Washington County Fair this Saturday. Looks like they have 2 sessions there. They have modified super stock, super farm 2-wheel drive bowling there. So 2 sessions there. And is that the only poll that he's in this weekend? I'm not 100% sure, but at least that one for sure.
I believe that's the only one he's hitting. He's flying out instead of driving, so.
Yeah, that's. I mean, he did drive out to Wyoming, but this one.
Yeah.
A little bit farther, and so I think because he's only going to be out there for the weekend, which makes sense. Just it's easier to fly back and
the
forth.
speed limits are lower out there, so.
Yeah, he did. He did have run into that issue on the way back, so it might be good not to drive.
Yeah.
So. But don't forget to check us out throughout the week. Brandon will be posting photos, videos. Jason, of course, will be posting plenty of stuff, and he'll be talking about his upcoming weekend trip out to New York.
People always ask when I do a live video, there's no polls near me. Yes, there is. You just got to find them.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
sure.
So if you message a page and be like, hey, I live here, I can usually within a couple minutes track something down within a few hours of you, maybe. Unless you're in the desert. The desert's tough. But I was watching live.
Maybe the
live
West Coast
polling.
will probably be the toughest, but if you are central or the Midwest of the country out to the east, there's going to be something.
But we got a few videos sent in from California this weekend. There's people posting them to our wall. And I watched some live polling on Diesel TV from Utah. They live stream all their polls out there.
Yeah, that Live a Little Productions, and then the West Coast Pollers, I believe, is what
There's
and more like the California.
It's one of the diesel associations that out in Utah that puts on all those big events. They live stream. I just typed in Diesel TV.
Yeah, and then
it
they're
brought it
also
up,
doing
so-
the NHRA, the NHR,
NHDRA?
Yeah, the NHDRA.
Oh,
they do
SDX is this weekend too. The Shy Diesel.
Yeah,
Shy
can't
Diesel.
forget about that. I mean, the biggest diesel truck pull in the world
Yeah.
is going on this weekend. So
Yeah.
if you're a diesel truck fan, I mean, I'm
Head-
sure you've already heard of it. But
Yep. Head to Indiana.
Yep,
That's-
Taro, two big pull, two all-day pulls of diesel truck pulling.
Yeah.
So it's quite. I go down there one year, and it's quite the experience. It's normally always very hot. I don't know what the forecast is this year, but it's always normally very hot.
Yeah. So SDX, I believe Rudy's Diesel Jam is the same weekend as Hybrid Redneck Rally
Yeah,
this
it's
year.
like that second weekend of
October.
Yeah, and that's in
So
North
you can,
Carolina.
Yeah. Carolina Tractor Pullers, I think, puts that on.
Kind of, yeah. It's like
They're a
co-sanctioned with
Lucas
the pro bowling
Yeah,
league too.
yeah.
Kind of. So like they have all
My
their diesel
my brother
truck
went
classes
down
out
last
there.
year, and he
wasn't
said
the
it's
same-
it's a lot of fun.
If
so.
it wasn't the same weekend as Hybrid Redneck Rally, that would have been something really to make a trip out there, go out east.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone's going to a poll this weekend. That's our main
I was
goal.
just looking up Pacific Coast pullers. So for you West Coast fans, I know we get a couple from California. The Butte County Fair in Brindley, California is this weekend on the 26th, and they're having the Pacific Coast pullers. So we hit the West Coast too. So there's a poll right there.
And there's a lot of diesel truck pulling in Utah. I know that. I don't.
Yeah, that's
Next-
it's pretty much big anywhere.
As we expand on beer money, I mean, we would like to cover everywhere. There's not a lot of space on our Facebook page to post a lot of stuff, but you can always message the page. I answer 90% of the messages, either me or Amanda. So if you need to find a poll near you, you can message us, and if I don't get back to you right away, I do have a real job. So
we're both.
Ryan has a
working
real
the day,
job too,
driving
so
back and forth from Madison, which is an hour one way. So
patience with us.
We'll find you something.
Yeah, we can.
So on that, thanks for tuning in to Let's Grow Polling for Brandon, and of course Jason. Hopefully he's enjoying his son's football game, and we'll be kind of taking over the show for a little while here during the football season, as it just happens that JB football falls here in Wisconsin on Monday nights, and of course Jason will still have his interviews throughout the week, and we'll get those on to you as well. So again, for Brandon, I'm Ryan Zolik, and thanks for tuning in to Let's Grow Polling. See you next Monday night.